Welcome to the Soul Archaeology podcast, a space for connection, resonance, witnessing, and learning. Together we'll harvest medicine from the spiral of life, sharing conversations with other embodied humans who have navigated their own initiations and found alignment with their true soul essence. With weekly astrology, energy updates, embodied conversation, and channeled teachings, this is a space for you to land and find resonance with the spiral of your own soul. Hello there, welcome back. This episode is going to be diving into one of the greatest shifts that we'll see in our lifetime, Pluto's shift into Aquarius. It's felt over the last few weeks, especially in so many ways, that our collective beehive is being poked and disrupted, disturbed, that the systems and ways in which we've moved through life and created and built our current civilization, the systems that have been in place, are being disrupted. The hive, the matrix, is being disrupted. It's activating within all of us our fears of change, our fears of what's not familiar, our fears of loss of control are coming to the surface. And as this hive, this sort of web of interconnectedness is being activated, we're having our survival challenged and threatened. People's own individual survival systems are activated. People are moving through fear, through threats of survival, which then engages the survival alarm bells on the hive. And I keep seeing this imagery of this beehive with the bees starting to swarm and respond to threat. And that's what's happening now. There's a great disturbance in the field. We have some major solar activity, some major planetary alignments, activations, transits that are affecting us deeply. Saturn stationing direct in Pisces, the full moon in Taurus on Friday. We're really being activated from all angles. And how we respond really is a sign of the health of our nervous system, the health of our immune system, the health of our mind and consciousness. I think in so many ways we have been feeling this shift building. Because Pluto moves so slowly, we've been feeling this shift occur over the last 5 years, really, as Pluto's been navigating the last degrees of Capricorn, and as it has been dipping in and out of Aquarius, into Aquarius, back into Capricorn over the last year, or 2 years actually. We've been getting these little signs or indicators of what's in store for us as Pluto moves through Aquarius over the next 20 years. These little bits or tastes of what's to come. Pluto entered Aquarius on January 20th of 2024 of this year and spent most of this year in Aquarius at the first degree. And then it retrograded back into Capricorn from September 1st until November 19th. So this week we have its official and last shift into Aquarius within our lifetime. So this is a major closing of a chapter and the beginning of another. On November 19th at 12:30 Pacific, Pluto will move into Aquarius until 2043. It will be the last time we see Pluto in Capricorn in our lifetime. Pluto takes 248 years to travel around the sun. It moves so slowly. The time spent in each sign is not uniform. It's not the same for each sign because it has an elliptical pattern. It varies from 20 to 30 years that it spends within each sign. And it really defines the evolutionary focus of each generation. So I actually put people into Pluto generations. Instead of millennial, Gen Z, Gen X, I don't even know the other ones, Gen Y, I really see people's consciousness is shaped by Pluto in so many ways. And I'll talk a little bit about that because I find it so fascinating, and it's something that we can certainly sort of identify with or understand ourselves more deeply when we understand how Pluto shapes our own individual generations, our own individual lives, but also the greater generation that we are a part of. But Pluto guides us towards transformation and evolution. It reveals what's unconscious within us. It brings the deepest of lessons, the major, big, life-altering lessons that change the trajectory of our lives. Where Pluto lands in your personal chart shows where in your life you're slated for progress, transformation, deep soul-level healing, karmic work, the work that really defines our lives. Pluto really guides us along our path, our evolutionary path. It shows us where we need radical embodiment, radical transformation. It brings us into our conscious basement. It brings us into the subterranean levels that exist within us to transform those spaces, to uncover what's been stuck or locked, what's hindering our evolution. Pluto transmutes, it alchemizes lead to gold. It is the transformation of self. It shows us that we must face death to transform the ego. It's much more subtle and old, even ancient, because so often we're revisiting these karmic points because Pluto moves so slowly that haven't been met in 250 years. So it brings us into our ancient self, into our soul's library. It brings us into our karmic work, into the work that we did 250 years ago, individually and collectively. It turns things over. It brings things to the surface. It's excavation and tilling of the soil. It reveals what's subtle and old, maybe not conscious within us, but the things that are impacting us deeply at the soul level. The debris, the unconscious debris that we hold and that we carry through lifetimes, through our DNA, through our ancestry, through our memories, through our stored emotions. Wherever Pluto lands in your chart reveals where you will experience your deepest transformation, your deepest growth. It's where your soul is focusing its evolution. Collectively, it's showing us where we need to evolve as a collective consciousness. And as we know, these transits are experienced as above, so below. We experience them in our own personal lives, and that is reflected externally. Pluto moves so slowly. We might not be able to track it or see it in our daily lives like we can with Mercury or Venus. Its force penetrates space and time. It's so far from the earth, yet it holds such a massive power over our evolutionary experiences here. Even though it's so far away, it really shines a light on the major evolutionary themes of our lives. It's like a glacier. It's changing and shifting what it's touching, but we don't always see the transformation with our bare eyes. We won't be able to see it move with our bare eyes. We just notice the transformation years later once it's receded, showing the carved earth beneath, showing us how we've transformed. And I feel in so many ways this transit of Pluto through Capricorn, the transformation has been so immense for all of us. When you're in it, you're in it. You're doing the work, you have your head down, we're focusing on transforming, growing, showing up for life. But then oftentimes it's not until we really step back and see through these different pivotal moments, through these reflection points, we get to see how much has changed, how much is transformed. And those points of reflection are so important because they help us orient. They help show us where we've transformed, where we've grown, how we are responding to things differently. And I always say those points when I'm working with clients, it's so important to sit with those points of reflection where something is revealed to you, where you notice how much you've grown, how much you've transformed, integrating that knowing and letting it reorient you along your path. We are the carved earth. We can see it reflected in us each individually, how much we've changed, how much we've transformed, reviewing the internal systems that have been broken down and dissolved, our belief systems, our own internal systems of operation, our nervous systems, our immune systems, our relationship with money, with success, with authority, with structure and growth. And we can also see how it's been moving, changing, and evolving, breaking down the systems that we live within, our external systems, our collective systems. Pluto moved into Capricorn in 2008. And since then, it's been working on our systems. It's been dissolving, destroying, breaking down the systems that are no longer working. In many ways, it's been simply revealing those systems to us, dissolving the veil so we can see more clearly where we are no longer supporting the greater good, where our systems have been potentially hijacked by money, greed, power. All systems in this human environment are susceptible to that. It's a part of the human experience. A Capricorn is a cardinal sign. It's related to movement, change, activation. It wants to shift or move things forward. And it truly has been dissolving the veils around the systems that no longer work. The last time we experienced Pluto and Capricorn was right before the American Revolution, right at the beginning of it. And the years leading up to the American Revolution were dominated by unrest, frustration with the hierarchy, frustration with the monarchy, frustration with the people in power, the elite who held all the power. There was a strong theme of oppression that led to the unrest that activated or ignited the American Revolution. There were issues around power, control, money, and we're seeing those same themes play out now, 250 years later. So we're seeing this play out individually and collectively. Our relationship with power, with control, with authority, our fears of change. Capricorn also rules time, money, limitations. It's been bringing us through the past. Capricorn is so much of it, it's related to the past. And Aquarius is related to the future. We've been trudging through the layers of the past to learn and integrate what's no longer working so that we can let go, dissolve, break down the systems and create new ones. In many ways, Capricorn is the hierarchy. It is systems built on the past, on this idea that we have a central power that determines the fate of the greater good. It relies on this manipulation of power, this manipulation of control, this oppressive energy force that keeps us small and obedient in our boxes, in our identities. And as we've been moving into the time of Pluto and Aquarius, we've been seeing the breakdown of these boxes, the breakdown of our tendency to give away our power. I've talked about this a lot too, the age of Pisces. And in many ways, this is reflected in the age of Pluto and Capricorn has been showing us and revealing to us where we give away our power, where we hold the belief that someone at the top or something at the top holds all of the wisdom and all of the power, and where we have these built-in survival mechanisms to give away our own power to something or someone who will save us. That is the old way. That's the old paradigm. And so it's important during this time as we shift into this more collective focus into Pluto and Aquarius to look at where we're seeking to be saved, even in the most subtle, sneaky ways. It's been fascinating to zoom out and really see Pluto's work over the last 15 years. We've known that it's been revealing to us the systems that are no longer working, both within our internal lives, our lives, our daily lives, but also our collective systems, our political systems, our education systems, our money systems, our environmental systems. It's been doing this work of revealing what's not working. And we haven't had many real solutions come to the surface. It's been more of presenting issues or presenting problems without presenting solutions. And I think in many ways, the age of Pluto and Aquarius will be defined by solutions, advancements, answers, if we're able to break down our biases, if we're able to disconnect from our fear of change, if we're able to expand past our walls of comfort and familiarity to meet people on the other side, to meet solutions on the other side. So we've sort of been in this state of survival for 15 years, seeing how much has changed, how much needs to change, without really understanding how we can move about it and go about it in a way that serves the greater good, not just the elite. And I think in so many ways, this Pluto and Aquarius time will be defined by we the people versus the elite, creating systems and structures that support the greater good rather than the tiny percentage at the top, revealing the hidden systems within our infrastructure, collectively and individually, that serve this idea that we must give our power away in order to stay safe, in order to succeed. Deconditioning those ideas that have infiltrated our consciousness over the last 2,000 years and inventing new ways of working together, new ways of understanding how we can break free from these biases, how we can move out of this group think and form new ideas and new ways of moving our evolution forward. As Pluto shifts into Aquarius, the ingress period is not always fun or tidy. Especially when an outer planet ingresses into a new sign, it can feel pretty rocky, pretty tumultuous. That mixed with the fact that in 2025 and 2026, all of the outer planets will be moving from water and earth to air and fire. That's fast, rapid change. Change we might not be ready for, or we might not think we're ready for, but we actually are. So this is a very intense portal of change. Something I talk a lot about is the fact that our consciousness is shifting so rapidly and our physical bodies are struggling to keep up with it. In a lot of ways, I believe we're here to update our physical bodies to meet the rapid expansion that our consciousness is undergoing. So it is so important to tend to the physical, to tend to our physical bodies, to tend to our nervous systems, to tend to our mental health, to tend to and anchor into the resources, the rituals and the routines that keep us anchored on the physical plane, that remind our physical bodies and our psyche that we are safe amidst this great wave of change. So Pluto officially shifts into Aquarius on November 19th at 12:30 p.m. Pacific. It will remain there until 2043. So this is really going to affect the next 20 years because Capricorn is related to limitations. It's related to time. It's related to the past. Like I said, it's presented a lot of problems, a lot of issues. So much has been revealed to us over the last 15 years, but we haven't been presented with many solutions, at least not on a large scale. In many ways, the solutions we have found, we've realized actually aren't very either sustainable, efficient, or effective. It's been a time of breaking down limitations, but also realizing our limitations. Aquarius is expansive. It's a fixed air sign. It's masculine in nature. It rules knowledge, wisdom, data, detachment. It's highly intelligent, innovative, and unique. But in its shadow, it can be rather aloof, detached, overly focused on the mental body, overly focused on being right, on being unique, and it can be fixed in its ideals, fixed in its beliefs. Its evolutionary purpose is to cultivate an absolute loyalty to truth, an uncompromised expression of self. Aquarius is ruled by Saturn in traditional astrology and Uranus in modern astrology. It focuses on innovation, technology, beliefs, ideals, the group, the collective, not the individual like Leo. Aquarius is fixed air. It can contain radical beliefs because it isn't affected necessarily as much by the truths of others or the opinions of others, but it also can be closed off and stubborn around its beliefs and ideals. And it can also believe that everyone should believe what it believes, which can lead to this homogenization, which is one of the shadow aspects of this time of Aquarius, one of the threats, I should say. It can also lead to this shadow aspect of superiority and the desire to spread this and apply it collectively, this homogenization, this globalization. It wants no boxes, which mean it can lean towards a universal truth or the belief that everyone should think the same things. Pluto in Aquarius will be a time of consciousness expansion, radical breakthroughs, paradigm shifts. Like I said, it's ruled by Uranus in modern astrology, so it has the energy of revolution and change, innovation. But it's also ruled by Saturn, so it's related to self-actualization and individuation. It will encourage a breakdown of outdated systems, especially in areas of technology, governance, community structures, social structures. It's looking to create new systems that serve all, the greater good rather than just the elite. On a soul level, in our personal lives, wherever Pluto in Aquarius is landing in your chart, so looking at where Aquarius is in your chart, this will tell you where in your life you're slated for progress and transformation, where you might feel compelled to question authority, to question the status quo, and align with expansion. We are pressing the fast forward button on growth. This is where in your life you will experience rapid transformation and growth over the next 20 years. One of the lessons of Aquarius is detachment, learning how to detach from the drama, how to detach from the emotions, the things that we are overly attached to, where we're fixed. So it will reveal where we have these deeply entrenched patterns, these patterns of staying closed off or confined in these specific ideals or beliefs or ways of being. It's here to liberate us. It's here to set us free. It's here to dislodge the areas where we're stuck or stagnant. Pluto is death and rebirth, transformation, alchemy. It brings us into the unconscious, into the subterranean, the basement, to uncover what's stuck or locked, what's hindering our evolution. It transmutes lead to gold, like I said. It's a transformation of self at the core. It's doing the heavy lifting. Just like a glacier, it can pick up massive boulders within our lives and move them. But we have to let go. We have to find the areas where we resist change and bring love, compassion, and safety to those spaces. Collectively, historically, Pluto's transit through Aquarius has held revolution and upheaval. I've talked about this before on the podcast, and I just mentioned the time leading up to the American Revolution, the years leading up to the American Revolution in 1776 was the last Pluto and Capricorn transit. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius was 1777 to 1798. We signed the Declaration of Independence in 1776. So from 1777 to 1798, Aquarius was teaching us how to, or showing us how to rebuild a new world. We had the American Revolution, the French Revolution, the beginning of the breakdown of monarchy, and the first introduction of modern democracy. It was when the first blueprint of modern democracy was developed, which then had a ripple effect through space and time. And in so many ways, we're here now revisiting this, seeing how we've strayed from that blueprint, how we've grown or decayed as a society, as a species, as a collective, what needs to be rebirthed collectively and individually. What I also find fascinating is when we think about this collectively, we have we have the collective focus of what was happening in the world in 1777 through 1798. But I've actually been realizing in the client work that we're dropping back into our soul's blueprint during those timelines. So I've been doing a lot of work with clients around the 1700s, the 1500s, these points in time where our soul also holds memory and data, our past lives, our karma, our ancestry. What's so fascinating is I mainly read and watch historical period pieces and fiction from the past. That's just what I watch in my free time when I'm not working with clients, when I'm not doing other things. I just really love reading historical novels or watching historical dramas, period pieces, things like that. And over the last 5 or 6 years, I've been very deep into historical novels related to the American Revolution and related to the timeline of the mid-1500s when Pluto was in Aquarius. Previously, even the time before it was there in 1777. And really relating to the people, relating to the times, I believe there's this universal force that's sort of bringing me or guiding me or magnetizing me towards these timelines to learn and integrate the information and data around the culture, the beliefs, the consciousness that was being shaped during that time. And in many ways, I feel like this Plutonian glacier, which really shapes our consciousness, is very connected to those two timelines. So many of the consciousness questions we face now were being visited during those timelines as well. What I find fascinating is that Uranus was discovered in 1781, which was the last time Pluto was in Aquarius. And Uranus rules Aquarius in modern astrology. So there's so much consciousness expansion. We used a telescope to identify a planet for the first time during that timeline. We were looking beyond space and time. We were looking beyond what was physical, what was in front of us. People started moving to cities more and more during that timeline. As jobs became more available, we had the first wave of industrialism, sea travel, land travel. Colonization was huge during the late 1700s. Transportation, the world began to connect more. But people were becoming tired of the old way, of the elite or the power at the top holding all of the wisdom, all of the information, all of the data, all of the wealth. When Pluto was in Aquarius in 1532 through 1553, was another wave of massive consciousness expansion. Alchemists, astrologers, wisdom keepers, all looking beyond what was physical, what was in front of us, seeking answers around aging, healing, evolution. Monarchs were seeking the philosopher's stone, finding a way to stay immortal, to transcend time, aging, death. We see those same themes playing out now, just in different ways. So it's always so fascinating to look at the past, to harvest what we know about the past, to inform where we currently are. And as I said, this Pluto and Capricorn transit has been about breaking things down, taking a wrecking ball to what's no longer working. Now is the time to rebuild, to find new ways, new solutions, to expand our walls of consciousness, to look beyond, to see what's actually available, what's potential. I cannot stress it enough that this time will be a quantum leap in evolution. We are in the golden age. This is a birthing point of a new civilization, Aquarius takes a collective approach. It focuses on the greater whole versus the individual, which is much more related to Leo. Groups, communities, activism, thinking about we over me. It really spreads its evolutionary focus outwards. And during this time, we'll have to think about the greater good, and not just the people at the top, but humans, animals, the land, the systems that support and sustain. And this transit will feel like warp speed change. It might feel like time is quite literally speeding up. Like I said, in 2025 and 2026, all of the outer planets move from water and earth to air and fire. Quantum leaps, rapid transformation. This will revolutionize every level of existence, challenge everything we think and we know. This is truly the birth of a new civilization, a new timeline, a new world. The shadow aspects of this time: homogenization, the belief that everything and everyone needs to think and act the same way. Globalization, still this pressure of centralization of power, this idea that a central elite group knows what's best for everyone. That's kind of where this fixed air comes in. It's this belief that I know what's best for everyone, therefore I'm going to apply this to every people. And as we know, people fall into many different categories, many different boxes of identity, religion, culture. So this shadow aspect of superiority, believing that one group knows what's best for everyone, forcing everyone into a universal truth, which we just quite frankly might not be ready for as a species. Also, the shadow of AI, technology, this desire to prove everything, to advance so rapidly and so quickly without really understanding the implications, the ethics, the moral implications. One other shadow aspect of this is because there's so much transformation so rapidly, these quantum leaps, they can also lead to breaks within the psyche, mental health issues. When there's so much change at a very fast rate, it can be traumatizing, too much all at once. Also, when there are so many things that are awakened within us, it can lead to these psychotic breaks, these fragmentations of the mind. When we have these mass awakening periods, there's also a rise in mental health issues as well. We saw that during COVID. DNA is also a major piece and part of Aquarius. It rules the circulatory system, the blood. So we'll see moral implications around DNA, around our genetic data. In so many ways, I feel like a lot of the shadow of this Aquarian age will be related to science. And even though Pluto rules greater life themes, we will see changes within our daily lives. Our daily lives will look completely different now than they do in 2043. We're already seeing it. What we think is impossible will become possible. Quantum leaps in consciousness, rapid transformation. And it's really our job to surrender to this wave of change, knowing that these are the effects of a collective earthquake. We're in a golden age. We're in this age of rapid transformation and growth as a species. And wherever this is landing in your own personal chart will be where you are meant to revolutionize, where you're meant to individuate, to find a new way of being with that aspect of your life, that aspect of your personality, to expand and grow outside of what's been comfortable, what's been fixed within you, and to find new ways, to create new systems, new pathways, new ways of being and relating to your life. Our suffering comes from our gripping, from our resisting. We must integrate change in order to grow in a healthy way, in order to become more embodied, more whole humans. We move in and out of these waves of awakening of light, illuminating what's there where there's density, integrating what's there, releasing and grounding. We ride the waves of awakening deep within our bones, our DNA. Aquarius is leading us to a new world. Over the next few years, we'll be navigating the terrain down the path of truth. It won't be without its challenges. We're in a world with exposed roots, stripped of its illusions. We might stumble and fall and trip over the illusions of the past and the rock walls we've built to stay safe. But we must keep moving forward. We must keep challenging what's fixed within us, where we hold bias, where we hold fear. It's important that we relearn how to communicate and how to connect as we stand alongside one another, watching this world break and crack open, seeing the deep crevices exposed, the lies, the manipulation, the greed, the glue that's held this patriarchy together, coming apart at the seams. That's where we glance at one another, knowing deep in our bones that we cannot go this alone. That in order to create the world we desire, we must all peel back our own layers of illusion, our own fears of the unknown, and settle into our own power and truth. This is such a major time. You might notice some anxiety within the body as the psyche starts to download the knowing that change is afoot. Like I said, return to the body, return to the practices that anchor and root you. Be the kelp, anchor, and find your sense of safety within your center point, but remain open, movable. This is how we thrive through change. Thank you so much for being here. I want to talk a little bit about the card that I pulled, which was the waterfall card in the Untamed Elemental deck. And it's all about letting go. Waterfall is an indigenous offering, as resounding as the hum of the earth. She calibrates and transforms all who witness her. An azure-colored force field, pulsating with purity, obeying the gravitational pull of her destiny. And shaping the earth along the way, she dances with glittering abundance. Waterfall, in her unhinged impermanence, shows us that some things cannot be stopped. It is through her wild existence that we receive a transmission. What is past will be reborn by plunging into the soothing depths of euphoria. All we have to do is let go. Waterfall says that nothing is permanent, and so grasping is pointless. This is actually good news. It takes so much effort to hold on tightly, and doing so rarely yields the desired result. Imagine you're thirsty and have only your hands from which to drink. If they're fists, the water has no place to rest long enough to make it into your mouth. But if you open your hands gently, a natural reservoir forms, and you'll be able to quench your thirst. Take a cue from the waterfall and release what you have in your fists. Just like her trajectory, that of your destiny is unstoppable. What is truly yours will come without constriction. When it's balanced, you might experience frequent synchronicity and new opportunities. When it's imbalanced, grasping, controlling, repeating the same story. To bring into balance, let go of where you are overly attached. Thank you for that Aquarian medicine, Waterfall. I really love that card. I've never pulled that card, and it feels very appropriate. Thank you for being here as always. When you show up, listen, when you share on social media, when you share with a friend or a family member or someone who you think this might resonate with, it means the world to me. Truly, thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up every week. Thank you for being present. And I would love to hear how this episode landed for you. Feel free to send me an email, a DM on Instagram. I'm trying to be better about answering those if I don't get to you. I'm sorry, but I just always love hearing feedback. So I'm sending you so much love. Happy quantum leap, seismic shift, and have a beautiful week.